LA 21 12670. Offices in Baton Rouge.
WNXX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 21 12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Anytime. Anytime. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Here's Charles Hannegriff.
And we welcome you into the Wednesday edition of Hanny Time 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff, Mario Jerez, and Taylor Sharp with you. Scott Rabelais in about 15 minutes. Bottom of the hour, we do first class, second class, no class on Wednesday. We are one day away from kicking off the field of 64 by the time we start this. By the time we're on tomorrow, there'll already be a couple of games in progress. We'll be at the Beau Rivage tomorrow. Can't wait to spend the next couple of days there doing shows. Jimmy Ott's Game Time will be from the Beau Rivage tonight and tomorrow night. I'll be there on Thursday as well for my show, and then Friday our combined shows from 10 a.m. till 1 p.m. to get you ready for the NCAA tournament. Looking very much forward to being down in Biloxi at the Beau Rivage. Got a bunch of stuff to get to today, so let me start with Michael Thomas. Thomas, who as recently as, several weeks ago, looked like he was going to be a former New Orleans Saint. The Saints have been frustrated with Thomas over the last couple of years for basically inability to stay on the field, some lingering injuries. But they never completely broke off ties with him. They just did some restructuring of the contracts. And when Derek Carr came in the fold, Michael Thomas was very much on board with remaining a New Orleans Saint. I think it's significant that this was not considered a very strong free agency class for wide receivers. Jacoby Myers moved, but there just weren't a whole lot of what you would call big names out there, unless you consider Odell Beckham a big name. I think he's still a big name, but again, the injuries. So with a very soft market out there, Michael Thomas could have been one of the bigger names out there, but he chose to stay in New Orleans on what was always going to be a renegotiated deal. They were never going to let that poison pill get to him on Friday for $31 million. So the deal is for $10 million, $15 if his incentives are hit. I like this deal for a number of reasons. Number one, I like the fact that they're bringing in, if he's right, exactly what they need on that offense, which is a receiver that can go up and get 50-50 balls, a receiver that on third down knows to run the route right past the sticks, a guy who is capable of getting yards after the catch. And he's been in the building for a long time. He knows the landscape, he knows the culture, he knows most of the players, and he's very excited about the quarterback. So whether Michael Thomas wants to be in New Orleans is no longer a question. Maybe it was at times during certain contract negotiations or while he was injured. That is not in question now. So it saves the Saints having to get on the free agent market and go find somebody like that. It saves them the draft capital have to do that, and they got the money right. So he fits what they need, and they fit what he needs. Because if there was a robust market out there for Michael Thomas, I think he would have probably gone elsewhere. I mean, if somebody was dangling more money than this, he would have probably gone elsewhere. Nobody was. Maybe the same thing for Jameis Winston. We talked about that yesterday. Like, why are you coming back to New Orleans? Well, maybe that's the best that that you got out there. So if this is a rejuvenation, if this is a comeback story, then let him have it in New Orleans. When Michael Thomas was right, he was one of the best 2 or 3 receivers in football. He led the league in receptions twice. He led the league in yards once. He set the NFL record for reception. You know the stats, okay? If you listen to this show, I don't have to give you Michael Thomas's resume. What's the downside to this? The downside to this is that Michael Thomas never fully heals. He's had 2 injuries now that have lingered much longer than you would have hoped. One on his ankle and one on his toe. For a receiver that needs to push off to make a living, and by I mean I don't mean push off with his hands. I'm talking about push off of his lower extremities. This is troublesome. If he doesn't get through this season healthy, well, then likely this will be the end of Michael Thomas with the Saints. But if he does get himself right and does get himself healthy, we're still talking about a younger we're talking about a younger receiver here. He's still only, he just turned 30 years old last week, 2 weeks ago. So there's still plenty of life left in him if the injuries are right. I really hesitate to talk about injuries in New Orleans right now because it's such a sore subject across multiple franchises. But this is a reasonable move to make. It's a gamble. They don't know if Michael Thomas can be healthy. He hasn't been healthy in 3 years. But he's in the building. They see him. They know what they're getting with Michael Thomas to a certain extent. They know the person that they're getting. They know the talent that they're getting. He's excited. So if he's healthy, let's go. Saints made a couple of other minor moves this morning. You may have noticed that they are fresh out of defensive tackles as of Monday. So they signed a couple of backups today. Nathan Shepard from the Jets, who's 29. Kalen Saunders from the Chiefs, who's 26. These guys both played about 40% of the snaps that they were on their current teams last year. So this is a depth move. Saunders does seem to have a little bit of upside. He had 3.5 sacks last season, and he's only 26. So maybe he'll be a little bit better than what you would ordinarily be able to pick up as a backup in free agency. We'll see. The Saints still have to address this in the draft and probably through more free agency and maybe even a trade. Who knows? But they did at least put some. They're going to have a defensive tackle meeting today. Before today, the room would have been empty, so they moved on from that. So that's the news from football. News from baseball last night. More of the same. LSU beat UNO 16-0. Jay Johnson on the win against UNO.
Anytime you can beat a team that has a good winning percentage, it's good from an RPI standpoint. And just continue with the good plan and approach from both sides of the ball. I don't think we made an error tonight, which is great. Another shutout by the pitching staff. I think we gave up 3 hits. And offensively, just a lot of guys contributing again. It's great. Like I said, the pressure doesn't fall on any one player because so many guys can make a positive contribution, and we did that tonight.
You got to ask yourself, as this is another game that would have been in the run rule had they applied it last night. They didn't want to apply it because LSU's lost a game and a half off of run rules. Seriously, they've lost 14 innings worth of work for guys just based on run rules. So they played it out last night and got a couple of people into the game, not just pitching but hitting. So that was good. They're 16-1, which is exactly the record that we predicted before the season that they would have in the non-conference. They have absolutely dominated just about every game on this schedule, save maybe 2. The schedule is light. There's no doubt about it. But at some point you do have to ask, man, if you're beating teams this bad, you got to be pretty good, right? This is hard to do against anybody. You're going out there and, you're winning weekends 36-2. You're winning weekends 54-4 and things like that. There's only so bad you can beat baseball teams, no matter how bad they are. And UNO's not terrible. It was 11-5 coming in the last night, and you just absolutely bludgeoned them. Lamar, who beat Texas A&M, who they're going to play this weekend, absolutely just bludgeoned. He's crushed these teams. So I've run out of things to say for games like this. They went out and beat a team that completely was outclassed, and they beat them as badly as they should have. And he's right. They did make an error last night. They've made 5 on the season, and that's a very important stat. Defensively last year, they had their struggles. This year, 5 errors. They're fielding at 990. That'll lead the league any year you want to do it. And a couple of those errors have come from pitchers. So there's nothing left to say about the LSU pre-conference schedule other than let's see what they do in College Station this weekend. Fortunately, if you want a lot more baseball, the podcast is up, Baseball at the Box. We dropped that this morning. Dan Canaveri and I spent the entire time talking about what has happened in the pre-conference and what we're expecting this weekend at Texas A&M. So there's a lot more LSU baseball, but 16-0. I'm not going to spend an enormous amount of time on the game. It was good. Garrett Edwards came into runners on base. Got out of the jam without anybody scoring. He has not walked anybody all year. No, that's not a mistake. He did not walk anybody all year. I like relief pitchers that come in and don't walk people. That was really good. Everything else, Dugas homered again, White homered again. It's real good. Let's see him play somebody. That's what I'm anxious for right now. Podcast, you can get it at 1045ESPN.com or wherever you get podcasts. Baseball at the Box, brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. I can't get through the Open without talking about that debacle down in New Orleans last night. I'll be honest with you, I was watching the NCAA tournament because, and we'll get to that when we do first class, second class, no class, because both of the games were really good last night. Particularly the second game was good. So I missed the first quarter of the Pels and the Lakers. The first time I turned over to that, because I kind of got caught up in the NCAA game. I was like, okay, it's a pretty good game. First time I turned over, they're down 15. I switch back to the other game, come back. Now they're down 22. And they would eventually be down as much as 36 last night. I'll be honest with you. I never 3 minutes into the game, they're down 2 touchdowns. I wasn't watching. Mario, maybe you can help me out here. How do you get down 14 points before you call timeout?
It sounds simple, but the Lakers were making shots and the Pelicans were not, and they were just as demoralized the rest of the game. Early on, they got some good looks, but they didn't fall, and the Lakers just couldn't miss, and it just stayed that way for 48 minutes.
You're down 35 points at the half. This is the biggest deficit that New Orleans has ever had as a franchise at the half, and they've had some pretty bad teams. I never thought let me just the obvious, okay? The dead cat in the room. Last night felt like the end of the season to me. They got 13 games left, and I know they don't play anybody in the next 5 games that's really any good, but the Rockets just beat the Celtics on Monday night, so nothing's a given, especially for this team. It started out with such promise, and it has turned into a completely wasted season. I never thought that. Maybe I missed it, or maybe this is just a good time for the trolls to come out and say, see, I told you they're never going to be any good. No, that's not true. I mean, at one point they were in first place in the Western Conference with a 23-13 record. But when you look back on this at the end, and we'll do this in 13 games, but like I said, last night felt like the end, you're looking at a team that was never able to stay fully healthy. Stop me if you've heard this before. Started out with, Willie Green having a really good run through the first year and 30-some-odd games. He was getting the most out of this roster. He was pushing the right buttons. Now it seems like they've come out flat in so many of these games that they're like, today's a must-win. Today's a must-win. Wait, they're down 22. Well, apparently the sense of urgency didn't translate very well. Felt like he was getting the best out of the roster. No longer is. The lack of outside shooting is glaring. And what do you do about that? In the offseason, you got to tweak something. You're going to have a draft pick. The pick swap looks worthless now. That's off the table. Lakers are going to finish probably in front of you. And I don't know how you do this gracefully, but Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram just are never on the floor. They're never on the floor. I mean, these guys, this has been, 3 years together?
4.
How many games have they played together?
Not enough.
I mean, seriously. 2 dozen? 3 dozen? Something like that? They're great players when they play, but Zion Williamson's out with a hamstring injury. This is a 4, maybe 6-week injury in most cases. He's missed 2.5 months. Brandon Ingram has missed a colossal amount of time. I understand that, if you make a trade involving either one of those two, that you're in dicey territory. I mean, maybe Zion Williamson is the next Joel Embiid. Embiid missed most of the first 3 years that he was in the league. Since then, he's been one of the 3 or 4 best players in the league. That's my hope for Zion. I have very little confidence in that because every time they tell us he's got an injury, it takes 3 times as long for him to get back. And every time they tell us there's an injury for Brandon Ingram, it takes him 3 times as long to get back. Sorry. Not doubting their talent, not even doubting their will, just doubting whether they can stay on the floor.
Yeah, you got star players that finally want to be here, but they can't be on the court.
I'm delighted that they want to be here. I had to suffer through Eric Gordon going out there looking like he was, being sent to Siberia. So it's not. I'm glad.
Wasn't Eric Gordon out for turf toe one time?
I think.
I'm pretty sure he was.
Either way, B.I. and Zion have only played 93 games together in 4 years.
I'm surprised it's that many. I think it's 24 the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, 24 the last 2 years.
12 this season.
Okay. Yeah. Zion missed all the last season. The last 2 years, 12.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Math not my thing.
Eric Gordon looked like he was being punished for something every time he came on the floor at New Orleans. I don't know whether it was turf toe or a broken heart or whatever, but he just soon wore a shirt that said, I don't want to be here, because it was not hard to read that. But you didn't have to be a psychologist to read that body language. I'll never forget that picture when they had the press conference and he held up the shirt. I mean, it looked like he was being sent to prison. I'm going to go to New Orleans.
All-time photo. Eric Bledsoe had similar body language, too, a couple years ago.
Yes, he did. So I'm delighted that these guys want to be here, but I need them on the floor. Big decisions making in the offseason that they got to decide what they're going to do. Willie Green on the loss to the Lakers.
I thought our sense of urgency was lacking, but it just...
Coach, how would you describe what went wrong in that first half?
We let their shot making just demoralize us. And they came out and they made shots early. I thought our sense of urgency was lacking, but it just came down to they made shots early. We missed a ton of them.
Appreciate his honesty. Not real crazy about what he's having to be honest about. All right, coming up next, Scott Rabelais from The Advocate. LSU women's basketball getting ready to host first-round game and hopefully 2 at the Maravich Assembly Center for the NCAA tournament. We'll talk to Scott about that and some other topics. First class, second class, no class at the bottom of the hour. It's Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Big Mike's in Denham Springs. Swamp Pop Jitterbug lessons coming up tomorrow night. Mario's improving every week, man. He's just getting a little bit better every week. They start at 6 o'clock. Something to do with fun to do with your significant other. You never take me anywhere. I don't take you somewhere. You learn how to jitterbug. Maybe it'll be fun. Billy Harris on stage right after that. Friday, Kyle Wilson, and Saturday, Jovan Webb at Big Mike's. Hot ball crawfish. Taylor, I think you're heading over for hot ball crawfish on Friday. We gave Taylor Friday off, so go get some crawfish. 11 o'clock every day, 7 days a week at Big Mike's. If ball shrimp are more of your preference, Monday night, it's all you can eat. Happy hour drink prices from 3 until 7 on weekdays and on Sundays starting at 11 a.m. You want to head on over on Sunday to watch the basketball, watch the baseball, watch the golf, watch the NASCAR. Do it at Big Mike's with happy hour drink prices included there. On Aspen Boulevard in Denham Springs, Big Mike's. We're kind of a big deal.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off new 2022 Jeep Gladiators and $8,000 off new 23 Jeep Grand Cherokees. All new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, Hanny Time, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. there's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana.
For live play-by-play of the 2023 Men's NCAA Basketball Tournament. Thursday at 8 p.m., Friday at 6 p.m., Saturday at noon, and Sunday at 11 a.m. on your home for the 2023 Final Four. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Always get the show on demand, 1045ESPN.com. That includes the Baseball at the Box podcast. You can get that. The Handycast will have our picks. We already put our picks out for the first day of the NCAA tournament tomorrow. That's already posted. The one for Friday's games will be posted a little bit later on this afternoon. We bring in Scott Rabelais from The Advocate. Rab, good afternoon. How are you?
Charles, I'm great. It's a beautiful day out there, and I love college football season, but these next 4 weeks are my favorite 4 weeks of the whole sports year. We got the NCAA tournament and a little invitational golf tournament in Augusta, Georgia, that you may have heard of that I like.
All right. Well, I'm glad that you're in a good mood. Let me take you down a notch here because that's what we do here, right? Yeah.
Do your worst.
We played this clip on Monday, but I'm going to play it again for those that missed it. This was Kim Mulkey after LSU got a 3 seed and will host first-round games at the Maravich Assembly Center later this week.
I want y'all to understand the fans get excited, but sometimes they also lose perspective. They think we're supposed to go to a Final Four. Give me a break. Now give me a break. Can we? Yeah. Memphis beat Houston men today, right? That's why you play the game, but we're not supposed to be Final Four in year 2 here. We're just hoping to win one more in the playoffs and then let the chips fall where they may. So when you write about us, don't sit there and say, oh, you're a failure if you don't make it to the Final Four. Are you kidding me? I'm going to protect this program and these kids and say, are we better today than we were last year? Is recruiting better? Are we winning more at each level of the season? And our goal is to win 2. We have not won 2. We won 1 last year. And if we don't, you walk off that floor and go, whew, we played our hearts out. We gave it everything we had. That team just played better. We are on a fast track. And I think sometimes the fast track blinds the media and it blinds the fans on what we really should be achieving.
Scott, we got everything but womp, womp, womp. I mean, if I didn't know any better, I'd say that was the press conference after they had lost in the NCAA tournament. This is not the Kim Mulkey that I know that, I'm not saying she's got to go out there and predict, hey, we're going to Final Four or anything, but how about we're excited to have, these games in our building. That's something that we worked for. That's something that we achieved. We had a great regular season. We're looking forward to continuing that. We got great teams coming in here, UNLV and Hawaii and Michigan, and we just can't wait for our fans to get back there. And we're excited to get on the court. Instead we get, wait a minute, hang on. We're really not that good yet. I was shocked. I'm sorry. That's just not what I expected her to say on Sunday.
I kind of expected it because she has not lacked for confidence. If you remember her introductory press conference here in April 2021, she looked up the 5 Final Four banners from women's basketball and said not one of them is for a national championship. She said that's what I came here to do. But she was brash about that. But then, she said last year, LSU won 9 games the year before. She was hoping let's win 10 and let's go from there. Of course, they went 26-6, and they have been. She's just trying to take it incrementally. I think they have been a little bit better this year and everything. They've got 28 wins this year. They went 15-1 in conference compared to 13-3.
Look at the best record in school history, a little bit better.
Tied for the best regular season record in school history. They won a game in the SEC tournament when they were one and done last year, and now they're trying to advance to the second weekend. Like it would be aside from, I don't know if you saw Jay Billis what he said. He said he picked LSU to go to the Final Four because he's afraid of Kim Mulkey, which was pretty funny. Look, it's they got some tough teams ahead of them, including Michigan, likely in the second round. Michigan went to the Elite Eight, I believe, last year, and they're an experienced physical team, and kind of reminiscent of Ohio State last year, the team that took LSU out last year when Alexis Morris was hurt and wasn't able to give them the 17 points a game or whatever that they were accustomed to. But let's just say this: LSU has got a very good team. Have they been as battle tested overall as you would like because of the non-conference schedule? No, but they went to the SEC and only lost to South Carolina, who no one is going to beat, and they lost to Tennessee, who ended up with a top 4 regional seed. And look, let's be honest. Would the season be a failure if they don't make it to the Final Four? No, I don't think in any fairness you could say that. But if they don't make it out of Baton Rouge this time, it will be the first real disappointment of the Kim Mulkey era.
Well, she was saying, "Don't write this stuff." So she's talking to people like you. Okay, so are you gonna write that this season's a failure if they lose? By the way, I know nothing, absolutely zero about UNLV women's basketball, other than the fact that they're 31-2. Now, I don't know anything about their league, but that seems like a pretty good record to me. So, if that's, I believe, the third best overall record or second best overall record in the tournament behind South Carolina. So I don't know if Michigan's going to beat them or not. But if they did play UNLV, the combined records of the teams would be 61-4. I mean, like I said, my knowledge of women's basketball pretty limited, but not bad, right? So, do you think she's setting a backfire? Is she concerned about the way her team is playing? Because she did this before they went to South Carolina. That I understood. She's like, look, she saw that ass kicking coming. All right, we all kind of did, but this feels different. These are games that honestly they're supposed to win. It's not the end of the world if they don't, but these are games they're supposed to win.
These are games they're supposed to win here in Baton Rouge, and I'm so getting used to point spreads on the women's tournament, Charlie, or women's basketball. Has this been something that's been existing for a while? I just didn't see it, or
it's more prevalent this. It's more prevalent this year. It's kind of like college baseball. We started getting lines on college baseball games 5 or 6 years ago in the postseason, and then a couple of years ago we started getting them in the regular season, and now they're pretty much everywhere. Kind of the same thing with women's basketball.
Yeah, LSU is a 29-point favorite over Hawaii,
so they should win. Right?
They should win.
Okay.
Michigan is only a 3-point favorite over UNLV, so that tells you that Vegas thinks this can be a very competitive game, and so Michigan is the favorite. You expect it to be LSU and Michigan in the second round on Sunday, and no, the season is not a failure no matter what happens. They've won 28 games. Angel Reese just made AP first team All-American this morning, as she much deserved to do. they've come very far, and LSU's nationally relevant again. And just the fact that people are talking about, is LSU worthy of going to the Final Four? Are they really all that? Is something to say. And after 2 seasons under Mulkey, I wouldn't have even, Charlie, if you asked me 2 years ago on your show, would LSU be hosting first and second round games the first 2 years of the Mulkey era, I would have said no. I would have said no. They're going to get somewhere, and maybe in year 2 they can be good enough, to do that. But they had to rebuild this team. Only Alexis Morris is the only major contributor from last year's team. They had to completely rebuild with a lot of transfers and freshmen like Flo J. Johnson. So it's been a remarkable rise, and one can only expect them to do better in the future. But this is a team with some vulnerabilities. They've got to get 3 players scoring for them in a game. You expect Angel Reese to score in double figures. In fact, to get a double-double. You expect Alexis Morris to score. They've got to get Jasmine Carson or Flo J. Johnson or LaDasia Williams, one of those other starters, to score in double figures. They hardly get anything off their bench in terms of scoring. They get some good minutes, but hardly any scoring. If they could do that, they're going to be a very tough out for anyone. But they've got to have that from somebody, and if they could do that, they'll go far. If not, they might be an early exit again.
Wow, man, I didn't think I was going to have this hard of a time. Getting good feelings about these first 2 games. I'm almost scared to ask my next question, because it's going to be, what do you know about Indiana and Utah, the 2 teams seated in front of them in the region? But according to you and Mulkey, they're going to pack it up on Friday or Sunday. So I don't know if I should even ask about Indiana or Utah.
Indiana is a very experienced team. They've got some really good talent on their team. Mackenzie Holmes is their best player. She's a post player. It would be a very interesting matchup for them. Utah shared the Pac-12 championship with Stanford, of course, is the perennial power in the Pac-12. So they've got a talented team. Yeah, it could be a tough road for LSU. That being said, I was just looking at the experts on the ESPN website, and everyone's picking LSU to make it to the Sweet 16, and even one person picked them, aside from Jay Billis, picked them to go to the Final Four. They're the team that Charlie Cream, who does their bracketology, thinks LSU can make it to the Elite 8. So, which would probably mean being upsetting or beating Utah or whoever beats them. So, but they got to go out and do it, and they got to go out and break through that pressure barrier that they didn't last year against Ohio State, with some mitigating circumstances again, because Alexis Morris was like their second leading scorer last year, and she gave them very limited minutes because of a knee injury. So everyone's healthy at this point. They've had a week to recharge their batteries. Unlike the men's tournament, you get a week off in the SEC before you go into NCAA play, and of course they're at home and playing in their own beds in front of their own fans. So that should all help. So I think they'll make it out of here, but it's not people who are saying, oh, they're just going to the Final Four because it's Kim Mulkey. Yeah, they maybe need to tap the brakes a little bit, but they can. They definitely can.
All right, I'm going to have to drag you and Kim along with me, because this team's going to second weekend. All right, and I think they got a shot to go to the Final Four. I'm telling you, I'm going to give the speech that she was going to give. Yeah, we're going to have a packed house. It's going to be an electric atmosphere. We have earned the right to play at home. We can't wait to get in that building and show our fans that we are ready to take this thing. We will give our best effort, and we're going to go as far as we possibly can. And we're just so proud of where this program is. That's the speech, Kim. That's the speech, right?
I think she's saying some different things in the locker room and the film room that she's saying to us in the media.
Well, I would hope.
Said that she wasn't thrilled, obviously, that they blew a 17-point lead to Tennessee, which cost them a number 2 seed. I think we can all agree with that. It cost them a number 2 regional seed. Just seems like everybody was waiting for a chance to knock LSU down a peg in terms of seeding and national ranking. They dropped to 9th in the AP poll, which is pretty ridiculous. They deserved a number 2 seed for what they did this year, and they didn't get it. But I think she's kind of making those things clear to the team that they didn't execute the way they needed to against a quality team like Tennessee, who you're going to see someone as good or better if you advance far enough in the tournament, obviously. So I'm sure she's getting her point across.
She's either clairvoyant or she's sandbagging. Come back next week. We'll talk about it.
Sure.
Thanks, Rab. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Charlie. Take care.
We'll take a break. Come back to First Class, Second Class, No Class, presented by Supreme Rice. When we return, Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge. Told you just a couple of weeks ago we purchased another vehicle from Infinity Pre-Owned. The certified pre-owned program is just second to none. First of all, you're going to have a large inventory to choose from, so they're going to be able to pinpoint something that you are interested in from a size standpoint, from a price standpoint, from a mileage and age standpoint. All of those things are going to check for you. They're so confident in their inspections that once they go through that check, they're going to give you a 6-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. First year of maintenance is prepaid, and of course, you're going to get a vehicle to use while you bring your vehicle in for service. Roadside assistance also include for the certified pre-owned program in Infinity of Baton Rouge. If you're looking to sell your vehicle, whether you want to trade in on a new model, just sell it outright. You can get a value on your vehicle at Infinity of Baton Rouge in less than 15 minutes, and there's no pressure to buy. If you just want to come in and find out what your vehicle is worth, they can do that for you, no questions asked. Acura and Infinity Pre-Owned on Airline Highway. Transparency in pricing and a family atmosphere is why we're going back once again. Buy our vehicles at Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Sky, I've got that sunshine.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green. This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644.
On Thursday's OTB, we're kicking off March Madness live at Pluckers on Bluebonnet. Come hang out with us. Let's have some beers and have some fun. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m. live at Pluckers, 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hanny Time. First class.
I want a seat in first class where I was booked and ticketed over a month ago.
Second class.
That no man should be subjected to the indignity of being labeled or treated like a second-class citizen.
And no class.
My life had become like school on Sunday. No class.
I'll tell you what then. Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
First class, second class, no class. Brought to you by Supreme Rice. Buy local with Louisiana-based Supreme Rice since 1936.
Started out with first class. Started NCAA tournament last night. The first four, by the way, the first four is a cool little event because Dayton really wraps their arms around that thing. It's like, why is the College World Series in Omaha? If you ever went to Omaha, you'd know. I've never been to Dayton, but it feels kind of like that for a 2-night event. The Dayton draws more. I mean, if you sent these 4 teams to Oklahoma, 8 teams to Oklahoma City, or I don't know, Salt Lake City, or Greensboro. Well, Greensboro actually might. Dayton seems like it really fits. But really good games last night. SEMO and A&M Corpus Christi. A&M led by mostly in the 4 to 6 range for most of this game. They were up by 9 with 5:45 to go, and SEMO caught them in like 2.5 minutes. And so with 3 minutes to go in the game, you had a tie. And, SEMO had a shot to tie it in the air. Didn't go down. But as good as that game was not nearly as good. Second game, man, if that game would have been played in the Sweet 16, you'd have been talking about one of the classic NCAA tournament games, right? 9 ties, 21 lead changes. Neither team was ever up more than 6. This was an amazing stat from that game last night. For 26 consecutive minutes, no team led by more than 2 possessions. I mean, it was a 1-possession game for 26 minutes. That was great. State got a good look with 2.7 to go. Shot didn't go down. The putback would have counted. They missed the putback, and Pitt wins it by a point. So first class, if we get games like that Thursday and Friday, this is going to be a lot of fun. By the way, we're going to be at Beau Rivage next 2 days. So if you're down on the coast, come by and watch with us. Second class, good with a chance to be great. We now have, with the signing of Baker Mayfield by the Bucs today, quarterback clarity or most quarterback clarity in the NFC South. So, would you rather, I'm stealing T-Bob and M's would you rather again. Would you rather Derek Carr and Jameis Winston, Kyle Trask and Baker Mayfield, Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke, or the number 1 pick in the draft in P.J. Walker?
Saints room, for sure.
Right now, the answer is clearly the Saints room. And listen, there's more than one way to do this. So the Saints decided to spend their money on quarterback in free agency. The Falcons and the Bucs trying to get by without using a first-round pick on a quarterback. Hey, if it worked for the Eagles, if it works for them, if Ridder or Trask are really, really upper echelon NFL quarterbacks in year 2 or year 3, then they got over. Okay, you get a quarterback on a rookie contract, you can do wonderful things with the rest of the money that you save. And then they brought in veteran backups behind them that have a pretty good bit of starting experience behind them. That could work. And then the Panthers are going all in on whoever they pick with the first pick in the draft. Now, right now, the Saints room is best. A year from now, I still think the Saints room will be best. 2 years from now, it's a harder call. And 4 years from now, it's a really harder call. 4 years from now, the rookie quarterback for the Panthers is going to be getting ready for his second deal. Is he going to be like Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen, that he doesn't get to the second deal? Or is he going to be like Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert and Josh Allen, and he gets to the second deal? I don't know. They're all good with a chance to be great. I mean, all of these teams have guys that have started in the NFL before. They've all got a plan. They've all got a backup plan. We'll just see which one works out the best. The Saints are the leader at the beginning, but we got a long way to go. No class, I had a lot of choices here today. I could have done it to the Pelicans for that no-show last night. Should be ashamed of themselves for that effort. I could have done it to Aaron Rodgers. I could have put no class on Aaron Rodgers. I mean, This guy's got a wish list, okay? I need you to give the Packers all this stuff so they're not mad at me, and then I need you to give me this much money, and then I need you to go sign this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. I need this guy on the coaching staff. I mean, does he have an office and a parking spot too already? You know, I asked Russell Wilson how that worked out with your teammates. Listen, I could have gone in that direction. But no, I saved no class for Chris Beard. Because Chris Beard yesterday at his press conference to be introduced as a new head basketball coach at Ole Miss gave this statement when he was asked about the domestic violence arrest and his firing at Texas. Respectfully, Randy and I have agreed not to talk, that was his fiance, have agreed not to talk about the details of what happened, not only that night, but in the nights we went through during the process. But what I can tell you is that much of what is reported is not accurate, and that has been proven with the case dismissed and the charges being dropped. And Randy's statement on December 23rd, I think that statement speaks for itself. No, it doesn't. I can just tell you what was reported is not accurate, but I'm not going to tell you what happened. Well, then I don't believe you. I'm sorry. If you had nothing to hide, if this was all just some bizarre misunderstanding that caused the University of Texas to fire you after a long investigation, and I don't think Texas really wanted to fire Chris Beard, pretty good basketball coach. Nothing aggravates me more than when coaches say, you're absolutely wrong, that's entirely inaccurate. Well, straighten me out. Tell me where I'm wrong. Did you not get arrested for domestic violence? Then explain yourself. Did you not get fired from the University of Texas? Then explain yourself. Maybe it was a bizarre misunderstanding. Maybe the entire thing was blown out of proportion. Tell me why. When you get up there and you say, no, that's all wrong, but I'm not going to tell you any different, then I just assume you're lying. Again, I'm certainly not trying to avoid the question. Yes, you are. But Randy and I have agreed not to discuss the details. There was a time frame of what was reported, what was proven factual and not factual. Other statements were ultimately the charges were dismissed. Yeah, the charges were dismissed, but Texas still fired your ass. If there was nothing to this, don't you think Texas would have gone back to get the coach that they wanted all along? No, something happened. So you can either explain yourself, you're given the opportunity here. I'm not saying you got to give chapter and verse. It's a personal thing in your relationship. I understand you can hold some things back. But when you just go out there and say, no, I'm not, you guys are all wrong, but I'm not answering the question. Well, then I assume you're lying. Explain yourself. Explain what happened. I get that there's a lawyer somewhere and a settlement somewhere and all that stuff. But when you go out there and say, listen, none of this stuff that's being said is accurate, but you offer no alternative, then I assume that you're lying. No class. You can't tell me that there's nothing to it without telling me why there's nothing to it. I can't tell you why. I can't tell you how. I'm just telling you you're wrong. All right, well, no, then I don't believe you. First class, second class, no class, brought to you by Supreme Rice. We'll come back and wrap it up here. Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com. You having people over for the games this weekend? It'd be pretty cool, man. A big pot of something. You know, whether if you're observing Lent, you can pair Supreme Rice with shrimp, with crawfish, and a gumbo, an etouffee, a stew, maybe a big pot of red beans. You know what? Make it with Supreme Rice. Support our Louisiana farmers down in Crowley, Louisiana since the 1930s. All of our Supreme Rice grown, milled, and processed down in Southwest Louisiana. Pick it up at all your AG food stores, all your Walmarts and neighborhood stores, all of your Rouses. Supreme Rice gonna stretch your food dollar, whether you get it in the long grain, the medium grain, the brown, or the jasmine. Perfect complement to any meal. For more information and some unique recipes, go to SupremeRice.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP on select new 2022 Ford F-150 trucks. $10,000 off plus 0% financing. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
All right, let's say ah.
So join me Wednesday for the Hunt Palmer Show. We'll react to LSU and UNO with former Tiger Chris Demouy, and it's a What If Wednesday. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hanagriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford, Chad Bryan says Dayton isn't any better than those other places. I've been to Wright-Patterson and Dayton. The city isn't that great. I'm not saying that Dayton is a vacation destination or anything. It's not Las Vegas. I'm not saying that the arena is this sparkling new, palace. What I'm saying is that the city embraces. It's not a guarantee in a city of that size that they'll turn out for 4 basketball games on 2 days in March for teams that they have no affiliation to. Okay, Pittsburgh and Mississippi State are not exactly local favorites. So all I'm saying is that they go out and they support the event. Like you go to Omaha, and on any given Tuesday or Wednesday game or the first weekend games, you'll find that as much as half or more of the crowd is locals. There's only so many baseball fans that can make the trek to Omaha. It's not the easiest place to get to. Neither is Dayton. So the locals have to, they have to jump in and adopt teams that aren't theirs. So that's what I was saying with Dayton. Ask Hanny, do you hate all Alabama sports or just Alabama football? I'm not real keen on the fan base overall, but my particular ire is for Alabama football because they manipulate the rules in the league, and it has never been equitable. That's why I don't like them. It's everything that Texas was in the Big 12 minus the payday, which it's not my money, so I don't really care. Let's see. A lot of comments in the chat about Chris Beard. I've said my piece on that. No, I don't like any sports in Gumpville. Champ says my wife says I'm wrong all the time and gives me no details, and I'm usually wrong. So sometimes the funniest line I ever heard from that came from Dan Canterbury. Was doing a baseball game with me once, and I said, "What's it like to go out and argue with an umpire, knowing that you're going to lose the argument before you even go out there. He says, well, you ever been married? It's kind of like that. And at the time I hadn't, but you do learn. Love you, honey. Hope you're not listening today. That's going to wrap things up today. The NFL league year starts, new league year starts at 3 o'clock. Obviously, free agency has been going on for 2 days nonstop, but the official league year starts at 3 o'clock today. 2 more games in the NCAAs tonight with Nevada and Arizona State being of particular interest to me, but Johnny Jones, Texas Southern, in game number 1 today. Tomorrow, we are at the Beau Rivage. Can't wait for the full NCAA tournament field of 64 to get kicked off tomorrow morning at 11:15. For Taylor Sharp, from Mario Jerez, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.